If I would ever be queen of something, I would be queen of the unpopular opinions. Hey guys, my name is Leonie and welcome to another video. This video is going to be a spoiler-free review for The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. So The Final Empire is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy. Is it longer now? It's a series, and it is about a country where the Dark Lord has won. He's called the Lord Ruler, and he rules over the people with his wrath. In this world there are people called Mistlings who, when they ingest a certain metal, gain certain supernatural abilities, and then there are the Mistborn who can use every type of metal and basically use each supernatural ability. And it is about two Mistborns and their group of people who are going to try and overthrow the Lord Ruler and bring the peace back to the world. If you have heard of this book, you probably know that everybody loves this book, everybody. So I'm just gonna start out with this review by saying that I had very mixed feelings about it. There were moments where I seriously considered DNFing this book, and there were also moments where I was like, oh my god, Brandon Sanderson is a genius. So in the end I gave this book 3 stars, so let's just get on with the spoiler-free review. I'll start with the things that I didn't like, and then I will end with all the things that I did really like. The first thing that I didn't like about this book is really stupid, but it is really long. It's 600 pages and I just don't like long books. The second thing that I didn't really like about this book was the world building. So let me give you a little bit of context. When I was reading this book, I was also super busy at university, and reading this book with its complex and intricate magic system wasn't really the best fit for me at that moment. So if you're gonna pick up this book, I highly recommend you read the first 100 or 200 pages in one sitting, because for example, the very complex magic system is not explained until page 150, and it took me about a week to get to that point because I was so busy. So for an entire week I was just like, what is going on? What are these people doing? What do these words mean? I didn't understand anything until that point where it was explained. The book also suffers from severe capitalized noun syndrome, where there are so many words with like a capital first letter. Every time a certain capitalized word would be mentioned for a second time, I would be like, what does it mean again? I don't know. They're all just... I'm mixing everything up in my head, which is also probably because I was studying and my head was already filled with biology and didn't have any room left for other facts like Mistborn. So if you're gonna pick this up, pay attention to the first 200 pages, because otherwise you're gonna be super confused for the rest of the book, which I was. Another two things that I didn't really like had to do with the plot. The first thing is that I really felt like this book was kind of just another young people trying to overthrow corrupt government type of thing. I was like, I've seen this before. And also something that I didn't know while going into this is that the plot contains a lot of political intrigue, and normally I stay away from books that are known for their political intrigue because political intrigue just makes me fall asleep, and I didn't know this book had it. And then when I found out that like the entire middle chunk part of this book is just political intrigue, I was kind of like, this is really boring me. But if you like political intrigue, you're probably really gonna enjoy it. But it's not something I like. Another thing that I didn't really like is kind of unfortunate, but that was one of the main characters. There are two main characters, Kelsey, who I'll get into later, and Finn. Finn is a girl from the streets who turns out to be a Mistborn, and I just couldn't really connect to her. First off, because to me she was very much just like a special snowflake. She turns out to be a Mistborn and she's immediately more powerful than any other Mistborns, and everyone is in awe with how great she is, even though she barely had any training, and how she's like a natural. And I was kind of like, Another thing that I didn't really like about her is how unemotional she was. I know that's part of her personality, it's just her character that she is a bit more of a reserved person, but it also resulted in me not being able to connect to her because I never got like any kind of emotional reaction out of her, and most of the time she was just very cold. Another thing that I really didn't like is something I really did not expect to encounter in this book, but that was the insta-love. There are two characters in this book who, without kidding, meet each other 3 times briefly and are already risking their lives to save each other and talking about how they love each other, and I was just kind of like, Brandon Sanderson, did you really have to do this? And the last thing that just didn't really sit well with me was the writing style. If you're a fan of like flowery, whimsical writing, then Brandon Sanderson is not your thing. He has a very simple, to the point writing style, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I really felt that a book that relies so heavily on the setting of the mists and the ash that's falling from the sky could really benefit from a more atmospheric writing. Because of that simplistic writing, I never really felt like I could truly imagine the setting. I never felt truly immersed in it. I never felt the mystery of the mist, just because the writing didn't really emphasize that. Also, something that I didn't like about the writing is just the overall lack of emotion. There were multiple moments in this book where something very like emotional or important would happen, and I would just barely get any reaction from the characters, and I was like, where's the rage? Where's the grief? Where are the feels of these characters? But Brandon Sanderson just doesn't focus on that. He doesn't really give you the emotions of the characters. He just focuses on the scene of the actions, and I really miss that, but that's just like a personal thing. Okay, now that I've completely teared the book down, let me talk about the things that I did really like, because in the end I still gave it 3 stars, because there were things that made me think like, oh, I totally understand why everybody loves this book. The first thing that I absolutely loved is obviously Kelsey. Kelsey is the other main character of the book, and he is just one of the most heroic characters that I've ever read about. He is one of those characters that is just so noble and really, really wants to do everything in his power to achieve his goal of overthrowing the Lord Ruler, and he will do anything. He will sacrifice anything to achieve that goal, and I absolutely loved his character. Which brings me to my next point, and that is that I really like the way these characters were written. Even though, like I said, I really missed their emotions, I still thought the characters were very well written because they were all flawed, they all had their own backstory, and something that I really appreciated in this book is how the characters actually like confronted each other about their flaws, and I really appreciated that, because that way characters can actually face their own flaws, and that's something that I feel like needs to happen more in books. Also, I have to agree with everyone who has read this book. The magic system was really great, and the way these characters use the magic system in such clever ways is just amazing to read about. And all the other positive things that I have to say is basically just the last 200 pages was like the best thing I've ever read. It was so good. It was so good. You know, sometimes when you read a book and it has like a really good plot twist in the end and you're just like, damn, that was really good. This book has about 5 of those plot twists. It just doesn't stop. It just twists around everything and you're just like, oh my god, stop. Oh my god. And all that was because this book was so well plotted. If you like writing, I highly suggest you read this book, because this book is a perfect example of how each scene is important and is foreshadowing for something that is going to be important later in the novel. Like, everything is connected to each other and everything comes together in the end, and it was so well done. So I totally understand why many people absolutely love this book. I just really struggled with the first 400 pages of this book. So in the end, again, I gave it 3 stars. Will I continue with this series? At this point, I don't really have any interest in reading the rest of the books. I also don't own the rest of the series. This book is not even mine. A friend lent it to me. So I don't think I'm going to continue with the series. All in all, these were all my very rambly thoughts. So please let me know what you thought about this book if you read it. You probably loved it because everyone loves it. So yeah, please let me know. What did I not see? What did I not see that I did not give this book 5 stars? Because I really wanted to give it 5 stars. But I was just a little bit disappointed. So yeah, this video is probably really long. So we're just gonna cut it off, and I will see you soon with another video. Goodbye!